of kings, better than diamond rings. Football,
Wildcats.
football,
Wildcats.
football,
Wildcats.
football,
I got it.
Wildcats.
football,
Wildcats.
football,
Wildcats.
football,
Wildcats.
football.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, season 5, episode 8, week 8. All right, Steve. So you said you were 4-0 on your best bets last week.
Yeah, it was just 8-6 overall, but 4-0 had the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Eagles.
Yes.
All my top plays.
Losses on the Dolphins, Packers by half point, Rams, and the big one. Were you on the Jets?
I was on the Jets,
Yes.
but I also lost Detroit, which lost by like half a point. I had Minnesota.
Yes, and we had a bet on that.
Yeah.
So I won that.
You got me.
You stole my thunder.
Sorry.
So,
Good
all
win.
right.
Good win out of you.
So, and actually, last week, the public came out on top. All 4 public favorites won, and the 2 public underdogs won. Of course, it was the Chiefs and the Lions. So
What's that tell you about this week?
we're gonna get slaughtered. So yeah, I think Vegas is gonna get their money back this week, and maybe it started last night, which it usually doesn't on Thursday. I don't think so. I thought that was kind of weird with Puka Nacua last night, but
Oh, that was crazy. Like he basically just got cleared on Monday and they had 21 days to activate him, and then had 2 consecutive mild participation in practice, right? And then all of a sudden, come Thursday night, he's activated for the game.
at 7:45, Steve's running around the house. Puka Nacua's playing.
I had to switch him into my fantasy lineup.
All right, and there was.
And then I went over on that one once I knew those guys were playing because Cooper Kupp was coming back as well.
Yeah, but he didn't have that many
So
catches.
it was a 30-20 score, 50, and the over-under at 46.5.
All right, there was something else you wanted to mention before we get started.
Oh, tonight is the first night of the World Series. And unless you're from New York or Los Angeles, you should hate both of these teams. In honor of the World Series, I'm going to ignore both of them and show the 1989 World Series Battle of the Bay San Francisco Will Clark jersey.
Now, have you owned that since 1989?
No.
Okay.
No, I've probably owned it since 2004.
So say anything you owned in 1989 would not fit
Would
you these
definitely not
days.
fit. I had a Randall Cunningham jersey back then, and it was super tight. I had to give it up.
All right, so we have a lot of games this week because there are, interestingly, no teams on bye. And I had to look forward because they always do those super buys where there's 6 teams on bye. And this season, for some reason, they're later in the season, which I don't like that at all. Let's get that over with early. So we have 15 games to talk about. First game on the list is the Cardinals at the Dolphins.
Are you telling me that's why I go fast?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you do tend to.
Ramble?
Yes. Opened at Dolphins -6.
Give inquisitive facts about the upcoming week, Jaclyn, and have you know there's no rambling ever.
It is currently at Dolphins -4.5, which has changed. So last week, I think we both hoped that McDaniel was going to use his bye week to come up with something that was going to win him a game. And instead, he said, fuck it. I'm getting Tua back next week. Who cares about this week? So this is going to be Tua's first game back after 4 games. So I don't know what he's going to look like, but the Dolphins should at least be able to run the offense that they want to run. Dolphins in the past have beat up on bad teams. I do think that the Cardinals qualify in that category. Interestingly, the Cardinals have not won back-to-back games since 2021. They are coming off a short week and traveling east to Miami. They're from Arizona. It's hot in Arizona. It's hot in Miami. The one thing they don't have out there in Arizona is the humidity. So I'm going to go back to the well, and I'm taking the Dolphins.
I'll tell you one thing they don't have in Arizona is Tyreek Hill. And with Tua coming back, I look for that connection to,
Well-
kickback start where they finished last season.
So interestingly, he had posted on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, like, we're back, baby. And then he pops up on the injury report like yesterday. So that's probably not a good sign. I think it's his toe, but I do expect him to play.
We still have Jalen Waddle and Odell Beckham Jr. Not that Odell Beckham Jr. is any good right now, but we'll see what happens. I like Dolphins as well. I mean, it's up to 4.5. I don't like the Cardinals coming back across the country. We had them last week, but I don't, against San Diego, but I don't think San Diego's that good. So look for Miami. It's really crunch time now. That Tua is back. They're going to need to start making a run. They're 2-4 in the division, and they're losing ground quickly against Buffalo, who's 5-2. So they're 3 games back. I like Miami this week.
All right.
Both of us.
Yeah. All right. So next game is the Jets at the Patriots. This opened at Jets -3.5. It's at Jets -7. So this is a division game. These teams played back in week 3. The Jets won that game 24-3. It was a Thursday night game, and I remember saying at the time that 7 points seemed like a lot in a division matchup. But obviously, the Jets won that pretty handily. Now, the Patriots defense has been pretty bad. Their own coach called them out, called them soft in a press conference with the media. I'm not sure how that goes as far as the locker room. Now, Belichick, I think it was on the Pat McAfee show. They asked him about that, and he didn't really say anything like straightforward, but he basically said that the defense is pretty much all the same guys. Last year, they were the number 1 team against the run as far as defense was concerned. So that would lead me to believe that it's a scheme thing, not a personnel thing. Now, Aaron Rodgers cost me $1,500 last week because I had a 10-team parlay teaser, and he was the only miss. So I had 9 out of 10. My original thought was they got to go back to the well. The Patriots defense is bad. This is a get right spot for Aaron Rodgers now that he's got his buddy back. But I thought that last week. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm a little bit torn. It is a division game. I did think 7 points was too much the first time around. Jets have not shown much up until this point, but I think I'm going to stick with my original play, and I see you might be going against me here. I gotta go with the Jets again. And if Aaron Rodgers can't get it done here, then the New York Jets fans have got to be pretty disappointed because they thought he was going to be their savior.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that you're not talking about, and that's Hassan Reddick. And this guy has been the mystery all season, got traded from the Eagles to the Jets, and has held out the entire time and beat the system. The Jets have basically caved in and gave him his demands, and he does not owe the, I think, $12 million in fines that he was racking up for missing every day. So the thing is about Hassan Reddick is he's going to pick up any defensive system quickly because he plays defensive end. All he has to do is go rush the quarterback. And in any system, rushing the quarterback is pretty much the same when you're playing defensive end. Get outside, either cut back in and get the quarterback or go all the way outside and get the quarterback. So I think with Hassan Reddick coming into the game here, I think it's a game where people are going to be pissed off because the Jets didn't cover last week and they didn't play well.
They didn't cover.
But this is where the public would jump off the Jets. I think you'd want to stay on it.
Well,
play the Jets because the Patriots are not good at all. I mean, they just got their asses kicked by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who is not beating anybody in the league. They're not looking good against anybody in the league. And the Jags won by, 14, 15, 16 points? So, I think the Patriots, even though they're playing at home here, you got another week, the second week with Devontae Adams back with Aaron Rodgers, and I look for the Jets to, I think you said it right, it's a get-right week for Aaron Rodgers.
All right, so you're a little torn now. I see cross out, circle, cross out.
Oh, is that the case? How do you know what I'm picking? Just because
when I
have
looked over there
notes.
before, that was circled. Did I talk you into it?
No, you didn't. I have different.
Now, one question.
Jets, baby, Jets.
One question, because I thought Reddick was a run stopper, not a pass
Why are you
rusher.
putting in get out of my notes?
I thought Reddick was a run stopper.
No, he's a defensive end who gets the quarterback. He had 20 sacks for the Eagles when they went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
All right.
Run stopper. Maybe you should stick to your own page. Stop stealing my picks because I think you had New England circled. Look,
I do not.
you
That's
had New England and then saw my switch over.
I don't circle. I just write.
Yeah. All right, so we're on the same side for that one as well.
That makes me feel
It's 2
better.
games in a row.
Believe it or not.
The Patriots are just bad.
I
Let's be
know,
honest.
but
I mean,
hey,
how can you take the Patriots? The coach,
Well, Drake May
the
is better
situation that
than-
you're describing is the coach trying to light a fire under a team's ass
No, but
that
I don't
has no spark in it.
Yeah, but I don't like Belichick would never do that in the media. Like you do that behind closed doors.
Yeah, this guy ain't Belichick.
Well,
That's
exactly.
for damn sure. And that's why we're going against them at 1-6. Probably, I don't know, the worst team in the league. Maybe the Cleveland Browns are now because they don't have. Well, I mean, they're probably better without that quarterback in there. But you know,
Are you saying the Patriots are the worst team?
yeah, I think
Panthers?
so. The Panthers, they're not that bad.
Oh, they're bad.
They got the best player, I'd say, between New England and Carolina is on Carolina with Deontay
Well, he's out this week.
Johnson.
But okay, we're going to get there. Let's keep going. Eagles at Bengals. Opened at Bengals -3. It's at Bengals -2.5. So I don't know if you probably may know this, but the Eagles have not scored a point in the first quarter of any game all season. Last week, they beat up on the Giants. I don't know how much credit you can give anybody for that. It is a division game, and it's just kind of something. It's one of those division things, right? So I'm hoping to see the Bengals get up early and maybe make the Eagles play catch up in this one. I don't know how often these teams play, but the Eagles have never won in Cincinnati, period, ever.
They don't play often at all.
I don't think so either, but
Very few games I remember.
I am
Against
going with the Bengals.
All right, this is
Go
a week where
Burrow.
I would typically go Bengals, and I want to go Bengals, but I think this is a week where everybody's going to count the Eagles out.
Interestingly enough, the money is on Philadelphia.
That is interesting. That makes no sense. I think you should check your sites and your sources.
Oh, I've checked them.
Because a lot of times you talk about who the money's on, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm
You
not
don't
saying
think
you're
it usually
wrong,
makes
but
total sense.
why
but
do
there
you
may
make
be an
sense that there's money
outlier.
on the Eagles?
An
Unless it's
outlier
just all
here
this
and there.
Philly- Yeah, but like in this case, maybe it's just like there's more money in certain
Because
places.
they beat
and
the
owners
Giants
are betting
28-3 last week.
Yeah, I guess it's tough for me to think that.
I mean, the
that was
Bengals
anything
won
other than
last
the
week, but
Giants
they
sucking.
didn't like blow out the Browns. It was a tight game.
All right, look, my pick here is the Eagles because I feel like this should be a Bengals win. But you can't overlook this defense and the way that they've looked the last 2 weeks. Now, granted, I'm not anointing them, the greatest defense in the league, but they seem to be handling bad offenses. I know these are a lot of star power names, but the truth is that the running game has been shut down a little bit, and the Bengals and Joe Burrow have not looked as good as they have in the past. I expect them, like I said last
They
week.
get better as the season goes on.
Exactly. And as I said last week, I expect them come December to be elite, but they're not there yet. I'm not going to go on them today because I think it's an easy look to just go Bengals because they're playing at home. So I think the Eagles squeak out a tough one here. Maybe, last inside 2-minute win.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say the Bengals do jump out early and they have a 14-0 lead.
Very well could happen.
Is that good or bad for the Eagles?
Well, obviously it's bad to go down 14, but I wouldn't count them
But are
out
they a team
because
that
of
can
the
come
fact-
from behind?
Well, what did you just say earlier?
What did I say?
What did you lead off with about the Eagles not doing in the first
Not
quarter?
scoring in the first quarter.
And they're 4-2. So clearly they're giving up some
Well,
early
no,
leads.
because last week it was 0-0.
Well, okay, that's one game. But they've been losing in just about every
Oh, I'm
game
pretty
that
sure
they
the
played.
Browns game was probably 0-0.
Yeah, well, the last week, the games, those are the two worst teams.
What's your point?
My point is, yes, they can come back from losing early because they've done it all season.
Nobody said they're losing, or just because they haven't scored a point in the first quarter doesn't mean they're losing.
You just said if they go down 4. Let me repeat the conversation. You just said if they give up 14, can they come back? My answer is yes, because they've been giving up points early and not scoring
nobody
anything.
said they've been giving up points. I'm saying they're not scoring points.
They're not scoring, and they are giving up points. So maybe there's 2 games where they haven't scored or given up points in the first quarter, but they were still losing. Not the Giants because they suck, but they were close on Cleveland.
All right, let's move on.
And every other game they were losing. They were losing to the Green Bay Packers. Do you want to go over it?
I'm just saying, they didn't.
Yes.
No, let's move on. All right.
Why?
Next game.
Why are you not letting me make my point?
You get so animated.
No, but listen.
And that's your approach.
You just said if you ask me a question and I'm answering it, and you're telling me that I'm wrong in what I'm saying.
It's not the same thing.
But okay, let's say that there's 0-0. I forget the Giants because the Giants suck and they blew them out 28-3.
And before that, they played the Browns. So you want to throw them out too? Because they suck.
What was the score of the Browns game?
I don't remember. It was a 6-point win, 20-14.
I'm trying to get into.
So at no point were you down 14-0 in that game.
Against who?
The Browns.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Okay, we have to move on. We have a lot of games to talk about.
Well, what's your pick, Bengals?
Yes.
Well, I don't want to move on. I want to prove my point because you're not making any sense.
It's okay.
Okay, they were down.
We'll ask anybody. Feel free to comment if they understand that there's a difference.
Well, I don't have time to go through the whole thing, but they were down at least 10-0 to Green Bay, and they came back.
Okay, next game: Packers, the Green Bay Packers at the
6-0.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
They came back.
They came back. Okay, good. So if Burrow can put them in a 6.
I want to change my pick to the Bengals.
I shouldn't be concerned. All right. Packers at Jags. Open to Packers -0.5. It's at Packers -3.5. I didn't give you the updates. 3.5. So the Jags won their second game last week in London, saved Peterson's job, at least for now. I don't have a whole lot on this, and I think the Jags are a bad team. I like the Packers. I think the Packers are the better team. And interestingly enough, this line has come down because it was 4.5 when I put this together. It's down to 3.5. So that would mean that the money is coming in on Jacksonville, which I don't understand.
No. But this is a trend. Let's just call this one out because it's the same as the Dolphins game where, basically, the Packers opened up as a 0.5-point favorite, and they went up to 4.5, and now it's back down to 3.5. So it shot up as the money was coming in on the Packers, but then went back down because it crested up at 4.5, and enough action went back on the Jags that the line went down. So that tells you that the number's probably right about there. It's a 3.5. It's probably a 3-point game if the Packers win.
Well, I mean, I would like to get it to 3, obviously. Maybe it does go down to 3.
No, well, it depends on what side you're on. I don't like the Packers. I like the Jaguars. I'll take the 3.5. They're playing at home, right? This is an obvious look-ahead game. People are just going to go from the Packers.
Why?
Because they're in first place, and they seem to be one of the teams that are going to be a favorite to come out of the NFC. And Jacksonville has struggled, but they're just coming off that big win against New England. We talked about how New England stunk, but Dougie P is fighting for his job. Let's not make any bones about it. He needs to win some games, and he needs to win some games now. And that one win last week is not going to get it done for him overall. So,
well, he needed to win the first game in London. He didn't. That means nothing.
But he had to win the second game, let's be honest, because clearly he had to win the second game because he's still the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Right.
They're 2-5, and they can get a couple wins here. They can get back into the mix. Houston's only 5-2, and India ahead of them at 4-3. Nobody's scared of Indy, right? So they can get a couple wins here, and they could at least be playing for a wild card. I like Jacksonville this week.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm on the Packers. We're on different sides this week.
The one thing, if you watch the game in New England, a lot of people probably watched it because it was in the morning and the only thing on, that it looked like Trevor Lawrence started to get his mojo back a little bit. He was delivering the ball. He's downfield. He was on target.
Yeah, against a really bad Patriots defense, and everybody does that.
Well, maybe sometimes you just need to, get some confidence and get it going against one team.
I think,
to catch fire, because I think we can all admit that, he's the number one pick of the draft. The guy's got some talent here, and he's definitely playing below what his expectations are. And I'm for one, not believing that he's done for.
Okay.
But he's got to do it now with Dougie. I think he's got the right coach, I know you keep talking about how he's lost the locker room, but
Well, that's not me. I'm not in the locker room. I'm just repeating what I'm hearing.
You say it every week.
And it would make sense, right?
No,
I mean, how
they
long
didn't
has
play like he lost the locker room last week?
Dougie P been the coach there?
They're 2-5, right? Both wins. Well, it was in London.
Who did they beat? The Patriots and who else?
2-1 at home.
Who was the other win?
Who that the Jaguars had?
Yeah. I think it was the Titans, wasn't
It was
it?
the Colts.
Oh, the Colts.
And they put 37 points up. It was Colts lose the Bears, beat the Patriots.
Huh. Okay.
They got Packers, Eagles, Vikings.
Huh.
So
They got a tough.
at Eagles and the Vikings coming to town, then the Lions. Where's the win at? It's the Packers.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's your pick. That's good. Okay. Next game, Falcons at Bucks. Open.
Who are you taking?
I said my pick. It's
Packers?
Packers.
Just making sure you're not switching.
I feel like every time I start a game, you interrupt me, and I never get to finish my opening
I'm so
spiel.
sorry. Do you want to bet on that one, by the way?
No, I don't.
Come on, if you like the Packers that much.
I want 3, though.
Oh, the whole thing is I love the 3.5.
Well, of course you do.
All right, 3. You always get what you want.
Okay. All right. Next game, Falcons at Bucks. Opened Falcons -1.5. It's at Falcons -2.5. So this is a division game. These teams played week 5. And I don't like, it seems like a lot of these teams are doing this where they're playing the second matchup this early. It seems too early. So Atlanta won that game. That was actually a primetime game, right? They
was a
won it
Thursday night
in
overtime.
overtime, 36-30. Cousins threw for 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. Please.
It's his best game of the year.
Yes, it was.
Maybe it's a matchup problem.
I don't think so. Bucks obviously lost Chris Godwin for the season and Mike Evans for the next few weeks at least. Also, Bucky Irvin, who's like their second running back, is out.
Oh.
So that I don't like.
He was giving him some juice off the bench.
Yeah, I would have liked it better to at least see them have all 3 of these running backs healthy. I don't believe in the Falcons. I would have loved to have taken the Bucks here if they had their guys. I do think that Todd Bowles can still get this win on defense and in the ground game. I am not putting my money on this, but I would lean Bucks.
I'm going Falcons. I'm going the other way. Because I'll give you 3 names. Terry Palmer, Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard. That's the 3 starting wide receivers because they got no Mike Evans and no Godwin. So I think
They got Rashad White, nice pass catching running back. They got
but without
Caden
Bucky, though, he
Otten
was really good. Yeah, well,
in the middle of the field.
That's who's. If they have a chance, that guy's going to get worked out on that night. He's going to get like 20 targets.
The Atlanta does not have much in terms of a pass rush, so that will certainly work to the Bucs' advantage.
So, like, let's be honest. As soon as Mike Evans went out, Tampa's offense was shot against the Ravens. So they're going to get him back. They're lucky. Godwin's the one that's out for the year now. But his hamstring he was hobbling around with his hamstring the whole time.
Well,
I was commenting to you watching the game. I don't know why the hell he's still in there.
I said to you, I was like, is he limping when he caught the first touchdown?
Yeah, and I said, you don't let a guy with a hamstring keep playing because
he was
out
there.
not an injury where, go ahead in the game, you're not going to make it any worse. You can rip that hammy right off. So I'm surprised he's not more hurt than what he is, but we'll see how long it takes him to get back. I don't think anybody really knows. But the point is that without him in the game this week, you can count on the Falcons still scoring to the pace that they did the first game, even though they're going down into Tampa Bay. But the problem's going to be the Bucs aren't going to be able to match that point output. I'm going to go Falcons. They're -2.5 at this point. Mm-hmm. Anything inside a field goal, take it. Take the field goal and just say push, whatever. But
let's say it went up to 3.5. You still like the Falcons?
I would take them. Yeah.
All right.
Good question. It doesn't really matter. Take them no matter what the line is.
Next game is the Ravens at the Browns. Opened Ravens -1.5. It's at Ravens -8.5. This is a division game. These teams have split over the last 3 years. Cleveland won the last matchup last year with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is out for the rest of the season. Jameis Winston will start this game. And apparently, you know the reason that Jameis Winston was inactive last week, he wasn't the backup, is because...
He had a couple passes.
Well, yeah, he was like the emergency quarterback.
They said he was inactive, so that's not really the case.
No, it is. He was inactive. But he's
And
the
how did he play if
emergency.
he was inactive?
Because that's a rule change this year.
It doesn't come up as a 53 man.
So, but
One of
just
the
let me
53
finish.
How does it work?
I don't know.
So you can carry 53. He's like 54. In case you need an emergency quarterback, he comes back
But do
in.
you know the reason that he wasn't the backup?
Because he sucks.
No, because they don't want the fans in Cleveland calling for Winston during the game because they hate Watson so much. That's why. So I don't know how much faith we should or could have in Jameis
Who told
Winston.
you that one?
I heard it on the radio.
So Dorian Thompson,
It makes
Rhett Robinson
total
sucks so
sense.
bad, and Bailey Zappi sucks so bad that they're not worried
Bailey
about him
Zappi
calling
wasn't
for them.
there
Okay,
at the
but Dorian
time.
Thompson Robinson was the one who first
He
came
sucks
in
pretty
for
bad.
Deshaun Watson, and
Yeah.
he was the backup, right?
Yeah.
So he's so bad that they weren't.
Well, nobody's
worried
calling
about the
for
fans calling
DTR,
him.
no.
Why would the fans be calling? Oh, Jameis
Because,
Winston.
you know, I
Do you
mean,
know how
he
many?
does. I know. That's exactly my point. Like, he's
you
like
know-
this mythological creature that, like, never did anything but what? Throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in a season. The
Do you know
eating
how
a
many-
finger thing.
Do you know that Jameis
or
Winston has?
eating a win. What was it?
He's like, we're gonna eat the win.
But people like
Yeah.
him. Like,
Who, the
people seem
players?
to like him. Yeah.
Wow, if the teammates like him, then
So, anyway.
like give credit to him because he's still confident.
Well,
And
I know,
the
but, like,
perception
when-
is that he's so goofy. Let's say.
We haven't
Goofy.
seen him, like, as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Do you
in a
know
while.
how many Do you know that he has over 100 career interceptions?
Well, yeah, you had 30 in one season. I know
That's
that. That's the
ton,
thing,
dude.
30 and 30.
That's a ton.
But so I don't know how much faith, but I do think it will give a spark. I almost wonder, did they regret trading Amari Cooper now? And the defense seemed to play better against the Bengals last week. So I think it could be a bump for the rest of the team. They are also, it looks like, getting Wyatt Teller back on their offensive line. They got, what's the other guys? Jack Conklin back last week.
Can I say one more thing about Jameis Winston? I will say this to his credit, because I'm not a Jameis Winston fan. I was in college, you know what I mean, before I heard him talk.
He was a great fantasy quarterback.
Well, he was
He
a
was
great
like a Blake
quarterback in
Bortles,
college.
Ryan
Like,
Fitzpatrick type.
He was the type of guy that they would be down and the entire team knew that they were going to win the game, and he'd bring them back. And those guys are few and far between. He's got a lot of talent, right? The problem is that there's a lot better talent in the NFL on defense than there was in college, and he gets too dramatic with the ball, takes too many chances and throws too many interceptions, right? Anyway, not a big Jameis Winston fan. The record is clear there. But to his credit, I watched video of him talking about the fans' reaction, right? And he was maybe a little dramatic and a little overboard, but something seemed very sincere in his message about nobody really deserves that, and he's kind of down on his luck. And let's be honest, you get carted off the field and you have a torn ACL, and the chance of you deserve it rang loud through the television. And you know what? Maybe they do deserve it. But there was something about Jameis Winston's post-game press conference kind of, demoralizing the fans in the way that they, reacted to the ACL injury. And it made me feel sympathetic for Watson. I say this, and my point is not
Jesus
to try
Christ.
to
Am I
get
going to have
you.
to clip this out?
No, listen, I say this not because I'm trying to get you on Jameis Winston's side, but I'm trying to make the point or back the point up that you just made, is that apparently he is a leader of men and people like him. And I think that kind of attitude would make players want to get behind him and rally around him. So for whatever his shortcomings are, and he tries to motivate people in stupid ways and has been on camera saying some really stupid things, Jameis Winston does seem to be someone who can command the locker room. And it could be that you see some of these guys that, they earn years
my
in
God.
the NFL. They play for like 6 or 7 years and they really don't do anything, but then all of a sudden they figure it out. Like Geno Smith.
Look at
Geno
Flacco.
Smith. Joe Flacco very
I know he
early
won
the
a Super Bowl, but in recent
That's a
years.
bad example. What I'm talking
No,
about is
it's
like
not
a
a bad
Geno
example.
Smith, right? Who everybody kind of wrote off. And now look at him. I mean, he's looking very productive in Seattle.
Well, Geno Smith was injured.
There's
though.
some of these guys that just stick around the league long enough that they can figure it out and get more comfortable.
I don't think
Let's see
Jameis
if that
has
happens
figured
with
it out.
Jameis.
Although
Because he's
some-
around that time frame of being a quarterback, and this is probably his last
All right,
hurrah.
let's move. We got to move on here.
So I'm kind of pulling for him, but I like the Ravens.
I'm not pulling for him.
I like the Ravens.
All right. On the Ravens side, we do have Marlon Humphrey out at cornerback, and
44.
Zay Flowers is questionable.
Number 4.
I think it's a big line in a division game. 80% of the money is on the Ravens at -8.5. So I'm going to take the points. Going to go with the Browns. Famous Jameis.
That was a really good Jameis Winston point, by the way.
Oh my God, that was exactly
until
what
you
we're trying to
interrupted
avoid.
it.
We're not even halfway
Wah.
through. Keep moving. Let's go. Colts at
Don't
Texans.
interrupt me.
Texans open at -4. It was up to -5.5. Now it's back down to -4.5. This is a division game. These teams played in week 1. Texans won that matchup 29-27. That was with Richardson at quarterback. Stroud, I don't know how the Texans were even in that game because you look at the stat lines. Tank Dell, 4 targets, 0 catches. Steph Diggs got into it with Jair Alexander. It was not a good scene. I guess Joe Mixon was the reason. Jonathan Taylor will be back on the other side. This is a division game. The Texans, I say this every week, they don't tend to blow teams out. I'm taking the points and I'm taking the Colts. It doesn't feel good.
I'm taking the Colts, too.
Good. Next game, Titans at Lions. Opened at Lions -7. It is all the way up to Lions -11.5.
Whoa. You seem a little perturbed.
90
You all right?
plus % of the money is on the Lions as an 11.5 point favorite. The Titans have traded away DeAndre Hopkins. Will Levis is week to week. I don't know for sure who's going to start this game. It sounds like it would be Rudolph. I don't know if it makes much of a difference other than a few turnovers. The Lions are the much better team. It is a big line. What you probably need to do this week is play some teasers. I mean, I'm on the Lions. I don't see the Titans winning. I don't see the Titans being within 11 points. But that's a lot of points. And I don't like that 90% of the money is on the Lions. Don't like it.
I think we're still in a position where I can't see the Lions being favored by more than 3 points against anybody. This would be it if you could justify the line, but I'm going to stick with that until they prove me wrong. I'm going to take the Titans as well. Take the points. Close your eyes. Hold your nose. Play the Titans.
Well, if you're going to do
Watch
that,
a
then you
win.
better hope it is Mason Rudolph because at least he won't turn the ball over because Will Levis will throw some brutal fucking interception and that'll be the difference. All right, next game is the Saints at the Chargers. It opened at Chargers -3. It's up to Chargers -7. I don't honestly want anything to do with this game. The Saints are starting Spencer Rattler again.
Sucks.
They will have Chris Olave back. That should help. And they will have Taysom Hill back, so maybe they can at least give him some snaps at quarterback. Spencer Rattler, as far as what I've seen, just seems to have a little trouble holding on to the ball at times. The last 2 weeks, though, it just seems like the Saints just kind of threw in the towel. Said, fuck it. We're not even going to try. So I have zero faith. But the Chargers, what have they done? They can't move the ball down the field. Last week, Will Dissly was their leading receiver. That does not breed hope that they can cover 7 points. They couldn't do it last week against the Arizona Cardinals. So I want nothing to do with this game. If I had any faith that the Saints would actually show up at this game, I would take the Saints. But I have zero faith that they're even going to compete.
Well, I think the book is out. I mean, you don't really have to defend Rattler as much. You just got to make sure that you stop Alvin Kamara. And since Rattler's been the quarterback, Kamara hasn't been able to get off. He hasn't looked good running the ball. The defense is stacking it up against them. And without Kamara producing, He's not even catching the ball much out of the backfield. I think you got to look at the Chargers here as the play, even though it's a big line and I don't like it. Hopefully it goes down to 7 by game time. I'll take
7.
the Chargers.
Sorry.
I had 7.5. Sorry. Then I like the Chargers. I think Harbaugh's getting into his groove, right? He's winning games. This guy's a good winner.
He didn't win last week.
He's a good coach, but they got a good record, right? What is their record? They are
3-3.
They're 3-3, which is better than last year, right? So it's not a great record, but I think as they play these
Started out strong.
bad teams, the
fizzled
Saints
out.
continue to lose, and this will probably be no different as the Saints look to lose their 6th straight.
Okay. All right, next game is the Bills at the Seahawks. Open at Bills -2. It's currently at Bills -3. So Seattle had the big win in Atlanta last week. Bills also had a big win against the Titans. I don't know if that counts as a big win. It was a lot of points. So I guess Amari Cooper was what they needed. He has 1 week with the team under his belt. Maybe he'll know what route he's supposed to run. But if he can catch the touchdown pass, I guess that's all that matters. The Seahawks DK Metcalf is doubtful. And I think that does make a big difference for the Seahawks because I do feel like Geno Smith really tries to push the ball in his direction. So I got to take the Bills here.
I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think the Bills, it's a big task to come
You're probably going to be right.
across the West Coast.
Because we're on opposite sides of all these games, and I think that this week is just going to be a slaughter. So one of us will be right.
Yeah, I think this is one of those games where the Bills are favored or on the road. 12th man's going to get them in Seattle. I'm going to take the Seahawks, baby. I like Geno Smith.
Okay, next game, Bears at Commanders. What? What? Do you really like Geno Smith?
No, you just make me laugh.
Open at Bears -2. It's at Bears -3.
Take him or leave him.
All right, so Jaden Daniels left the game last week with a rib injury. He is questionable. This week, there seems to be some conflicting information as to whether he is going to start or not. He has not practiced, though. Bears are coming off the bye week. I don't really have a good feel for the Bears, period. Last week, Marcus Mariota came in at quarterback for the Commanders and threw the ball around. That was against a bad Panthers defense. I don't think he's going to do that again. If it was Daniels, I would say take the points. If it's Mariota, I got to go Bears. How much faith do you have in Marcus Mariota?
0. I'm going to take the Bears as well.
Okay, good. All right, next game is the Panthers at the Broncos. Opened at Broncos -2.5. It's at Broncos -10.5. On what planet are the Broncos 10.5 point favorites? But the Panthers are a complete dumpster fire at this point. Their injury report is there's probably 20 some players on there. So Andy Dalton somehow in a car accident that nobody went to the hospital on, with his wife, his 3 kids, and his dog, hurts his fucking thumb. How do you do that? So Bryce Young is going to start in this game. I do not think this is a good spot for him, having to go to Denver versus the Denver defense, which has played pretty well. It's a little Brian Flores I guess. Deontay Johnson is out for this game. I would like to see where this line goes. I don't know if it would come down at all to get rid of that hook, but I would take the Broncos. Maybe I'll line it down a little bit.
I still want to take the Panthers here, but Bryce Young's the quarterback and I can't do it. So I'm going to take the Broncos even though it's a shit ton of points.
I'm pretty sure that's why Andy Dalton hurt his thumb. All right, next game, Chiefs at Raiders. Opened at Chiefs -4.5. It's up to Chiefs -9.5. This is a division game. Last year, the Raiders actually did win their last meet matchup 20-14. That was a Christmas Day game. Otherwise, Kansas City has dominated the matchup 31-17, 31-13, 30-29, 48-9, 41-14 in their last however many matchups that was. Now, there was, I think it was before the season started. I don't know how it came about, but somebody on the Raiders had a Kermit the Frog doll, and they were making fun of Patrick Mahomes. So I think there could be a little bit of get up on the Chiefs to take it to the Raiders here. They did acquire DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if he will play. And Max Crosby for the Raiders was DNP today. So I don't know if he will play. I don't generally like to take the Chiefs as such a big favorite, but I think I will.
This game I really don't want to take. If I had to lean away, I would take Minshew and the Raiders because it's 9.5 now. I think it'll go up to 10 by game time, and it's just too many points for a division matchup on the road for the Chiefs. They haven't looked that great.
Minshew, 4 turnovers last week. That was pretty much how the Rams won that game.
Yeah, but he's got to get into a rhythm, and he was sitting on the bench for a while, at least the last 2 games. So I'm going to take Minshew. I don't love it, like I said. I don't even know that I would make this a play, but if you're looking for a side, I would take the points and the Raiders. And again, hold your breath.
Okay.
Close your eyes.
All right. The
Don't
Kermit the
smell
Frog
it.
thing doesn't mean anything to you?
No.
Okay. I always like a good story. I think it works. All right. Next game. This is Sunday night. Cowboys at
It already worked, right?
What do you mean?
Wasn't the Kermit the Frog thing like last year?
No, it was before the season started.
Oh, okay.
And Patrick Field said, or Patrick, what did I just say? Patrick
Fields?
Mahomes said they would
Justin
address
Fields?
it when they address it. Like they're going to address it on the football field.
Well, excuse me, Patrick Mahomes. He does sound like fucking Kermit the Frog. Get over it.
It's just fodder.
Fuck Patrick Mahomes. I hate him for beating us in the Super Bowl 2 years
Like
ago.
if you were
so.
Travis Kelce and like Patrick Mahomes is your boy and you knew that somebody was like making fun of him because he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
I think Travis Kelce needs to get his fucking head out of his ass, is what I think. He's bit by the love bug with Taylor Swift, and he sucked ever since. So if he wants to start playing football again and start producing, he should probably cut the chick, move on.
Yeah, he's getting up there. Maybe he should just retire. All right, next game is Cowboys at 49ers. It opened 49ers minus 5.5. It has moved around a little bit. It is down to 3.5. Cowboys are coming off the bye. They are going to be without Micah Parsons and without Deron Bland. San Francisco coming off an ugly loss to the Chiefs. Brock Purdy threw 3 picks in that game. They were without Deebo Samuel. Ayuk got hurt in that game, but I think it was pretty late in the game. No Juwan Jennings. So Deebo was actually hospitalized with pneumonia. He was released on Wednesday. He is questionable for this game, along with George Kittle, who sprained his foot in week 7. So both Deebo and Kittle are questionable. Jennings is out. 49ers have generally owned the Cowboys in their last 3 meetings, 2 of which were playoff games. The 49ers have won 42-10, 19-12, and 23-17. So I definitely like the 49ers here if at least one of Deebo or Kittle are active. I would have liked to seen Jennings come back too. I thought he was going to play this week, but nope. So that's that. What do you got? Oh, look at this. Cowboys. Interesting.
I'm going to take the Cowboys here. I think that they're going to be overlooked. And
because they've been playing really good football.
No, they've been playing bad, but they had a bye
last
week. So hopefully they get their shit together. No Micah Parsons. That's going to hurt. But I think that Dak can get a little bit of revenge on the 49ers here. It's playoff revenge. Cowboys.
Huh. Okay. All right. And then the final game
As much as I fucking hate to say it, take the Cowboys. Hate those guys.
Don't take the Cowboys. All right. The Monday night game is Giants at Steelers. It opened at Steelers -4. It's at Steelers -5.5. So I do think you're going to have to watch where the money goes, but this to me is the perfect setup. Everybody is off the Giants because they got smoked by the Eagles. Everybody is in love with Russell Wilson and the Steelers because he beat up on the Jets last week. But I think the score was a little deceiving in that game. 14 points came off of Aaron Rodgers, interceptions. The best play that Devontae Adams had in that game was the tackle. That was a nice tackle. Remember that tackle?
I do.
Yeah, it was a nice tackle. A lot of the Russell Wilson throws it up in the air, and I don't know how George Pickens came down with a couple of those balls. The guy was all over him. The other one, he caught it, bobbled it, caught it again, bobbled it again, and caught it again. And even Pat Freiermuth had like an awesome one-handed grab. So I think this is the perfect setup, depending on where the money goes. Like, hold your nose and take the points, but watch the money.
Hold your nose and take the points. I'm on the same side. I think, can't really explain it too much, but I tell you, the ebbs and flows of the season, everybody's going to be on Russell Wilson. Let's not anoint him back yet, but I do like to see how this one's going to play out long term for the Steelers. But I'm going to take the Giants and the points.
Okay. And Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, defensive players for the Giants, are questionable. Keep an eye on those guys because they are going to be important.
Yeah, I would tell you, if Lawrence doesn't play, he might be in trouble, but I think he's going to play.
Yeah, I think they'll both play. They were both questionable last week, and they both played. All right, so that's going to do it for us for Week 8. See how we rolled right through those games. If you're watching, subscribe.
Fast. I can tell your demeanor. You wanted to move fast.
And peace out.
Wildcats football.